Quit crying.
It's not a fad. We never decided to jump on some tattoo bandwagon.
The antisocial nightmare.
It was walking hand in hand. Skateboarding, punk rock, and ink slinging. It wasn't cool. It wasn't fashionable to have a tattoo like Dennis Rodman and Tupac and all of them make it seem. We've been doing it decades before they even thought of doing it. They didn't have nothing on us. All your pro ballers. You were a leper if you had a tattoo and you were skateboarding.
Secret little society type thing. I wanted to meet these people and get tattooed by them. You know, think about while I was getting that tattoo and that time of my life.
You start collecting more pieces and you start putting them together.
There's a pain factor involved sometimes. Fall down, go boom. Get scratched up for about 2 hours, a little bit of pain both.
He didn't show up to his appointment that one morning because he was dead on the beach.
I like to go fast and straight, just like my weapons.
They should make tattoos illegal.
Similarities, yeah. No, they're definitely there. It's like, it's a personal thing. It's a one-on-one. You know, you got your board and your terrain. And you got your fucking tattoo. It's the same thing. It's like you get a tattoo, you got to deal with the artist one day up home, whatever, and then you have it. It deals with no one else. It's such a personal and solo event. You know, it's like why I could never play basketball, football, hockey, baseball. I fucking hate team sports. You never can trust the other guy as much as you can trust yourself. So that's why the solo sport is the way to go. And tattoos are almost like that, and it just reflects. It's an art, you know. And skateboarders are very colorful people, so to speak.
It was kind of just like, you know, punk rock and skateboarding and tattoos, you know. Looking back now, just whatever. It's pretty cool. It had to happen because it was like you needed more. Okay, you have a skateboard, and skateboards are kind of cool, but they're not. You need tattoos to fully confirm that they're not cool, you know. And then all of a sudden it got pretty cool, and that's just how it goes. So you have to move on.
I think skateboarding is where you see the most extreme of like the whole tattoo and punk rock scene, you know.
The individuality, you know, it's like everyone's trying to be different. And the same thing back then, it was tattoos with punk rock, you know, skating with punk rock. And that's probably what I sort of liked about it. And that sort of probably led me to tattooing too. So just something different, you know, that's not the norm.
I think like one of the things that you said, like with the outlaw thing, that's basically, you know, what it comes down to. Like, I think skateboarders are, you know, that same kind of thing, you know, like let's just have a good time, fuck everything, fuck society, you know, live for the second. That's what it's about, you know.
It was great. It was such a protest, you know. What?
Tattooing is just a natural part of a rebellious nature, pretty much. Like when we grew up tattooing, we grew up on the East Coast, and all the shops were biker owned, like the Outlaws and shit like that. So it definitely fit the stereotype of an outlaw image, and that's what we wanted to get across to people. That's what we were all about.
All the tattoo guys I meet now are all grew up skateboarding.
They were both kind of there, and they
Tattoo
both
shop.
tied in. And I ended up meeting a lot of people who were, you know, skateboarders and also into tattoos. Being in skateboarding and tattooing, you know, they set up an appointment, whatever, in advance, and I'd be tattooing, and they'd be like, "Oh, you skate?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I skate." "You skate?" "Yeah, I fucking skate." Blah blah blah. Turns out to be like some pro, you know. You never know. I mean, I don't know a skateboarder now who doesn't have a tattoo unless there's some 15-year-old fucking pro kid doing 16-stair handrails, you know, blindside.
I think it's an art form in both senses. I mean, skateboarding is an art form in itself. To do what skateboarders do, you gotta have a gift. A lot of it's bravery, you know, and I'm sure once they've mastered what they're doing, they're not afraid anymore. Same thing with tattooing. Once you've mastered it, you're not afraid anymore. You just want to take it for a ride.
Started skating when I was 5, out of boredom. Continued on until probably 79, 80, 81, and then met Jay Adams. You know, he got me on Santa Monica Airlines. From there, I just, you know, everything progressed, got better, started winning, hanging out with Nadas a lot. You know, went from Powell, Santa Cruz to Elva, and then from there I went to Vision. And then the rest is history. After Vision, I got together with Rocco, and we started World Industries. And, you know, that's all in the past now, and now I'm doing Z-Cult. It was out of necessity. That's where Z-Cult came from. And there wasn't that tight-knit, and I felt it was coming undone. And I felt if I didn't do something fast, we'd lose that. We'd never have what we did in the 70s and what we had in the 80s, slightly in the 90s. I just wanted to assure that there was a fourth generation following of Dogtown, Z-Cult, Bulldog. We're all the same thing. You know, if you look behind the names, we're what stands behind it. In my art, who's our soldiers? We got Austin C. Holmes. He's a guy from Orange County. We got Eric Britton Tuma. He's from the 80s, still skating strong. We're giving him a board, full model. Then we have 15, 20 guys who right now we just call them soldiers. If you want to hang out with Z-Cult and you're down with us, then we're behind you. During the years I was a skateboarder for Powell, I did a lot of traveling, and I got to meet skaters all over the United States and all over the world, and I'd run into these guys with skateboard tattoos, see logos, and I'd start going, wow, that's fucking badass. And I gotta admit, that's what sort of influenced me, seeing how they were so loyal to whoever they rode for. And then I finally decided to do it myself when I got back into town. That's what got me into it. Finally, things meant something enough to do it. You know, the first one I ever got after that was that. That was Stand for Venice. Then right after that I got these for skating, Thrasher. They were so good to me. Powell, they were so good. Polar Bear, he did a World Industry one on my leg. Schwag at Tattoo Asylum, that's one of the homies' names who did one. If I see their work and it's clean, then I can live with it, and I know them and they won't charge me. Stuff I love, you know. Dogtown, POP, Z-Cult, 100% skateboarder till death. It's just shit that I like.
What are you up to? Is this your new pad?
This is my house, yeah, dude. Need a donut?
Yeah, sure.
Donuts, 8 donuts flat. Here, eat it up.
Cool, thanks. What is the sandwich?
Oh, it's a lemon filled. Kill.
That's good.
Guess I grew up out in the hills, dude. Bunch of hicks and shit, and I was just like, this kind of solo guy. I was one of them dudes that was really into skating. Until I broke out, started just cruising around on my own, you know. Found my groove. You know, I guess it found me, you know. I've probably been skating like 20 years. I'll be 29 this year. And I grew up skating street all over. Started ditching school when I was like, 13 to go skate. Hitchhiking to Portland. Then I started Burnside, started hanging out there. When I was 18, I started coming down here to Cali, cruising around, started meeting people. One day my buddy made a homemade gun and we did it on Burnside. My first one. Tattooed my son's name, Marcus. I did that one, and I tattooed scabs on my knee the same night. I was really drunk. And, I just wanted to have some barbarians tattoo on me just to see what's up, dude. Mostly just traveling around the states, A lot just right around in here, Arizona, Cali, most of them. Some Portland. Got this one, I had to go back to Portland for my pops. He passed away. So I got that night. Oh yeah, I got Vans tattooed on my feet. They're like in the process of. Most of my work's done by like Tim Hendricks. He works down in Newport Beach. He's done a lot, like on my neck, my knuckles, these little webs. He did like this shit. Been doing my Meister Bro can. Did my Coors. I was a little drunk for this. Did my chest. Skate goat thrasher. Yeah, Tim's the Ripper. Comic Bull. I'm afraid of the Comic Bull. He'll grind the shit out. Yeah, I got the role model one too. My board company I started. It just popped into our heads one day, and we were just like, yeah, it's the best thing because we're nothing close to being role models for most people, dude. It's contradiction in terms. It works out good. I deal with a lot of different places now. Going to office buildings look like this, and there's a suit and tie next to you over here. Some lady in a full suit dress thing, No, yeah, they strip, they stare. People are scared to talk to you sometimes. That's cool. That makes me laugh, dude. And I've had old women, like when I lived in an OB, man, to walk up and be like, oh, that's such beautiful artwork, It's some old granny, dude, so it depends on the person, And then now I just skate whatever. Mainly I like pools. Now, been having fun with those. I'm on a pool binge, full skate junkie pool style. Swanson, he's a skate junkie, true to the bone. Bill Wallace, Fuzzy, friend Ray. That's the skate junkie squad right there. I skate with everybody. I skate pretty random. A lot of times I skate alone, Whatever. I got a generator and lights, dude. That's all I need. Got a house that moves.
Have Jenny will travel.
Just a little out of my mind. My head ain't gone, it's just a little off the line. Sometimes strong go crazy, we can just go along. I'm not crazy, no one ever said it was strong. Don't belong. I'm running on a borrowed time. I'm running and I lost my mind. I'm running, I got no time. I'm running and I lost my mind. I'm not angry, just a little bit irate. Cry in the storm, but just a reflection of.
Yeah, I want to say what up to my son Marcus, man. He's gone, but he's not gone. Love you, boy, and say what up, man. Go skate, get tatted, it's fun. And live your life for yourself in reality, man. Not their fake bullshit. That's from Marcus, too.
Running and I lost my
I must have been about 7 or 8, I think. I asked my dad, you know, if I could get a skateboard, and he pulled out a roller skate and said he'd make me one. I made a skate, learned how to make a skateboard out of a fucking jigsaw and a roller skate and a piece of wood. It had metal wheels. I was over that real fast, so I had to come up with a hustle, helped out around the house, paper route, things like that. Got myself a skateboard. I then hustled up some trucks and some wheels and all that, and ran around on that for years. You know, I mean, tail gone, everything gone on it. Well, I quit skating for a while because I got into drugs, like a lot of teenagers do. And then I started skating again about 6, 7 years ago. Now I just need it. It's like a life. You need that rush. I don't do drugs as much anymore because I don't need to. I don't need to escape from any kind of reality. So when I do need to escape, skateboarding, that's what it is, you know. Yeah, I do tattoo a lot of skateboarders. I tattoo some of the guys from Black Label. One of my best clients is Jim Gagney. Tattoo the famous Eric Dressen. Tattoo Neil Headings. I did a lot of work on Neil Headings. He's a good friend of mine. Pigpen. Lots. What influenced me, I guess, is I grew up kind of with a lot of cholos, and I came from like a real artistic family. My dad was an artist. All my brothers and sisters draw and paint and stuff. So it just kind of fit. All these dudes I grew up with wanted tattoos, and I was an artist, so we just made some homemade shit and had fun. It just kind of grew from there, you know.
So how old were you when you got your first one?
I think I was about 15 in a garage by a cholo who just got out, doing about 10 years, learned how to tattoo in the joint, practicing on all the neighborhood kids.
So it was a homemade?
I was like 5th in line, yeah.
It was a homemade rig and everything?
Homemade rig, in a garage, tattoo party, everyone drinking, doing drugs. It was a lot of fun. I try to specialize in everything. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes in where I'm like, fuck, man, I'm sorry, I just ain't into that, you know? And if I'm not into it, they're just not going to get my best work. You know what I mean? But I guess that comes with everything. I love doing Japanese style stuff. I love doing traditional. I love doing portraits. I wish I could do more of them. I got influenced with everything. You know, in my family, art was a big thing. If I was bored around the house, and I already did all the chores and everything else, and I was like, oh, I'm bored, what do I do, Dad? You know, he's like, oh, here's a pencil, tell me this. You know, there's always art going on, and there was always books. Like, you know, my dad was really into Japanese art, so there was Japanese books, there was, you know, Renaissance art, there was, you know, every kind of art. Sometimes I go out and just sit and watch my dad paint for hours, you know. So I think that really comes out a lot later. I don't realize it, like I'll be doing something and fuck, why did I do that, you know? And I just think maybe it's just subconsciously kind of beat into my head, you know? Yeah. I guess what it all winds down to for me is like going through like all my, you know, years of change, how everyone goes through it, and you know, some people never get over it. What it came down to for me was just being happy, you know? And it's like, that's all I know, is how to draw. That's all I really want to know as far as like career-wise. Like, I mean, I'm not rich, you know, I don't have, you know, a fucking Lamborghini parked outside or anything, but you know what, I'm happy, and that's what it comes down to. If I draw and tattoo for the rest of my life and my bones hold up so I can skate, surf, and do all the things I want to do, you know, well then I'll be happy for the rest of my life.
I've always been into art and tattoos. Skating, fucking punk, and tattooing just go hand in hand. Back then, you know, I mean, in the 80s. I mean, it still does to this day, but watching videos and looking at magazines, it was just like seeing Jason Jesse, the Godoys, and I mean, there was Clay Decker. I mean, I'm from Hawaii, so Clay Decker was in Hawaii, and I'd be sitting next to him on the bus. And he was by far the punkest fucking guy in Hawaii. He was pretty much sleeved, and I'm looking at his arms, he's got like skulls and like fucking maggots. I'm like thinking to myself, I knew he was a fucking good skater. I'm like, and he just had this fucking smirk on his face. He knew the fucker was crazy, man. And that was one of the reasons why I liked him, because I was like, he's got tattoos and he's fucking crazy, and that's kind that's his personality. And I had like a respect for it, you know what I mean? It was like a scary respect, you know what I mean? But I knew we had like the same things in common, like skateboarding, you know? I mean, I went to fucking private school, you know what I mean? There's no way I was gonna be able to come home with a fucking tattoo. And my sister had a tattoo on her ankle of a little cross that she did on her own, like with a fucking needle, thread, and Indian ink. And I'm like, fuck. And you know what I mean? She was an older sister, so I was like, cool, like I wanna do that. Tonight I'd be just in my room and fucking threading a needle with Indian ink and just like putting dots. I mean, I still have stupid shit on me. It's all about Jason Jesse and the Gazoys. Like, I want to get tattooed, you know? And there was other guys that had tattoos, but those three stick out in my head more than anything. I mean, skateboarding is such a creative side of anybody's brain. I mean, you see it from back in the day. Not to say that there's skateboarders that aren't like, you know, mathematicians or anything, but they're the most extravagant kind of like individualistic people there are out there. That's, I mean, as far as I'm concerned. With the passion of like skateboarding, there was art. You know what I mean? That was one of the reasons why I bought the boards that I bought, was because, you know, there's a cool graphic on it. Like, yeah, like Gonz's art was so weird. I mean, tattoos were so taboo, you know what I mean, back then, and it was just like, fuck, nobody's tattooed now. I mean, everybody's tattooed nowadays, you know? I'm gonna fucking tattoo myself and start getting them taken off, you know? It's like, hey, I'm gonna go get laser tonight. You guys can go get your fucking tattoos. I don't even care.
Hey, I'm Eric Dresden, and my life revolves around skateboarding, getting tattooed.
What made me get my first tattoo was probably hanging out with Jason Jesse when I was on Santa Cruz. They were traveling around a lot and stuff, going to Europe. Went to Hanky Panky, was the first tattoo shop I ever went to in Amsterdam. Me and Jason were together, and just seeing all the dudes in there all tattooed up, and just everyone kind of gawking over Jason Jesse because he was tattooed down by Mark Mahoney. And then I was hanging out with him every day and just looking at his arms, and he was telling me about like all about the dudes that he was getting tattooed by, Mark Mahoney and Danny Romo and Brandy Johnson. It's a secret little society type thing, and I wanted to meet these people and get tattooed by them, see what it was all about, and went and got my own tattoo. From there, like, I just got interested in it and started following it, started looking at the magazines, reading the books, and just kind of getting hip to who was who and what was what. You know, the different styles, the Japanese style, the traditional American. And then also I like the black and gray, like East LA Cholo style. Most of my tattoo guys I admire and I look up to all grew up skateboarding. So that's how I've kind of acquired a lot of my tattoos. There's some people that have admired my skateboarding, and I've ended up admiring their tattoos. And when I'm into something, it consumes my whole life. That's pretty much what happened in tattooing, is I just started hanging out in tattoo shops. I just would hang out every day, every night, just be the shop fucking hanger-outer guy.
thinking, oh, what should I get next, or this and that, and I picked up on what was going on around me, and eventually from there I became like the shop helper, cleaning up, making needles, making appointments, dealing with customers, dealing with people that have passed out, fainted, big Marines, having to pick up big Marines after they got their little tattoos. I've mainly been tattooed by Eric Merrill, Jackhammer Josh, Sparky, Nick Roden, Jeffrey Page, my dearest buddy Cody Miller, Tim Hendricks, my favorite skateboarder and my favorite tattoo artist of all time. So I'm lucky enough to have him as a friend and a tattoo artist. Oh, and my two dearest friends in my tattoo family, Clay Decker and Jiro. My friend Gen, he did this one. Gen's crazy. He's an OG Japanese skateboarder. I got 100% skateboarder on my lower back. It's like a little click, skateboard click. I know like what my friends are good at, what styles and what designs they're good at, so I usually just let them do whatever they want to do, something that they'd be stoked on, something that they'd want themselves. When I was 8 years old, I wanted to start surfing, and it was just easier to start skateboarding. So I just started skateboarding all by myself. Just started competing when I was about like 9, 10 years old, got sponsored, and just mainly skated everything. I tried to skate everything there is, everything pretty much but freestyle, pools, banks, skate parks, mini ramps, vert ramps. That's pretty much been my forte with skateboarding down the street with
After a while, my job wasn't going so well. I was doing construction. And my buddy Sparky, I was roommates with him. And yeah, I'd always been doing art my whole life and stuff. And he knew that. You know, he said he'd pretty much just take me under his wing, tell me how to do it, and teach me how. And ever since, I've never looked back, and that was it. When you're tattooing it, bigger looks better. Anything that you can see from across the room, I like that a lot better than something you have to get up on and look at real close and grab it and say, what is that, you know? So usually things with a lot of space and a lot of contrast look best on the skin. Anything that you can make flow right, that's the way you're gonna have your best results. I mean, there's a whole different way of drawing for the skin than there is just drawing. Just because of the personalities that you encounter, the skin, how it moves, it's everything about it. It's way more intense. It depends on how involved you get into it, you know. But when you're really serious about it and when you're in there, you can't really be thinking about too much else. You know, you got to be in the moment and concentrating on what you're doing. And paper you can fuck up and erase, and it doesn't matter. This is where it's on the line, and you got to make it look good, or else that person goes on for the rest of their life with something that doesn't look good. And it's subject to opinion, you know, it's all art, you know, but you're the one that has to deal, you know, internally with what, you know, the artist personally deals with his outcome.
You know, at least I do. I've just been into skateboarding my whole life. Just, I love it. You know, I mean, that's another passion of mine. I'm just privileged that I got to do a couple of his board graphics and stuff. Better than that, you know, he's like my best friend. So it's pure freedom for me. You know, I mean, I can do whatever I want.
How long is it taking? Where I grew up in Southern California, San Clemente. There's an old man, Copsy Lee Jesse. No, he was hot rod genius in the 60s and 50s in his rod and custom. Put fuel injection on. Alright, hi. Turned pro when I was 17. First rode for Uncle Wiggly or something. Doesn't even matter. And then Vision. Gator got me on Vision. And then Santa Cruz skateboards when I was 17, turned pro, and had a pro model for 3 years, and then that was it. Started this other company in '92 with these guys, and it was super cool. With Steve Keenan and Moish. Moved on to this place, Automotown, and it wanders between skateboard, company, motorcycle enthusiasts, shirts, silk screening. It's pretty cool, actually. Wait, this thing's throwing me off. There it is. Art and Steve Godoy. They forced me to get tattoos. I didn't want all these tattoos. And then my mom made me.
How tattooed were they back then?
From my point of view, just full body suits. But I think they just had, I met them in Alabama. They showed up at my house like 4 months later with this guy helped me. They called this tattoo shop and said they can't wait to get in the chair. So I was like 15 or something, 14, and went and got this one on my back. When I got it though, gnarly. It was me, Fred Smith, and Steve Godoy went to Tattoo Land. Mike Brown tattooed Fred, you know? And it was like 3 in the morning. I remember going in there, like, looking at Mike Brown's shoes. He's wearing patent leather, the baddest shoes ever, and jeans. It doesn't make sense, but it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then, Fred, when are we gonna leave? Fred goes, hold on. Jason, get in the fucking car, sit in the car until we'll be done when we're done. Shut the fuck up. I remember he scolded me, and I was like, I remember sat in the car, just, fuck that guy. It was insane. I was 18 or something. And then, on the way home, I got an earful, just, you don't do that. He was telling me about this, and I was like, okay. Fred, like, kind of just let me in on a little known fact, what you do and don't do. The rest is just that. It's just like a drawn out, just tragedy. You're 15 years old and there's an authentic man, just American man with tattoos covered and just talking the dog shit and idle, you know? Just can't wait to never measure up to that guy. But at least I'll try with these fucking tattoos, you know? That guy went to Nong, tunnels at Chucha, and I went to Amsterdam. Got weed, bought weed. When was it? The 80s, late 80s. Mark Mahoney. That was my first graphics. Off a tattoo he did. That one Mark drew, and then Jim Phillips Xeroxed my back. Copied it, you know? And then we just went off that. John Schuler did the flame graphic, you know? And he's the one that tattooed everyone's. Steve Salva, all his graphics. Bob Roberts tattoo. It's crazy, huh? Leo's, what was his name? Leo? Yeah, your graphics. What? Wait, is that a pig out there? And it all boils down to Mark Mahoney, the king of cool. I swear. Like, even everyone knows. Danny Romo knows. Everyone knows. Eric knows. Mike Valley even knows. I don't know if he knows. But anyways, I don't even know him. But, so I can't answer that. Totally, there's no selling out. It's just getting your message to future generations. That's it. See the candles? It's a dangerous meeting table. That's who I got to thank for all this irresponsibility. There it is. Look at this. Oh, this isn't me, man. This is shit.
And as a kid, drawing, that's all I like to do is draw with black and gray and get the Crayola box and it would be that big, the black one, before I touched anything else.
Yeah.
And as a teenager, I joined a little gang and I go down with the older guys from the gang to Rhode Island. Well, they get tattooed. And as soon as I walked into this one shop, Buddy Mott's shop in Newport, Rhode Island, it was like, as soon as I walked in, one foot in the door, I was like, this is it, this is what I want to do. It was illegal in Massachusetts where I grew up, so, you know, I had to work underground. I kind of learned on my own. This friend of mine, Mark Hurley, who I went down to the shop with, was the kind of like leader of the gang we had, and he was an artist as well. And he joined the service, joined the Navy, and he came back with some tattoo equipment, and he had started tattooing. He got a little game from this guy, Cool Hand Luke, in Jacksonville, Florida. He came back and gave me a little quick lessons, and I tattooed his back. You know, that was my first thing. So I would say Mark Hurley gave me my start till I came to California and then worked down the pike with Colonel Todd, who was like old master. I mean, I never even saw a fine line black and gray tattoo till I came out here. That's what I wanted to do, and I couldn't talk anybody into doing it. First real fine line thing I saw was on Johnny Thunders, something that Bob Roberts had done. I was like, man, how does he get that line like that, you know? And then when I moved to California, I saw, you know, it was everywhere, especially Good Time Charlie's in East LA, all that super fine black and gray shit. And I was like, yeah, that's it, that's it. So I came and I learned, you know, some old school stuff from Colonel Todd, you know, weaseled my way into, you know, Good Time Charlie's. I learned from Jack and Mike Brown, so, you know, that's the thing. It's like I'm still learning, you know. I like doing, you know, portraits, photographic stuff, you know. I like doing, you know, motorcycle tattoos because that's what I drew when I was a kid. And I started, I like doing religious stuff, you know. I first come out here and I was working in Long Beach at the Pike, you know, and I was tattooing all these guys from TSOL and all the bands. And they'd bring skateboarders in. That was the connection there, man. Randy Jansen, who was managing a skateboard team, tattooed him and his brother and a bunch of people. And then he brought me down Jason Jesse, and Jason First and Fred, you know, and then there was a time there where, you know, those guys was my, you know, like my best customers when I opened up a shop of my own. They would keep me going when I was just struggling with the new shop and everything. And Jason especially was really helpful with helped me getting that first shop going. Fred could hang. Them kids could get tattooed, man. They were good with paint, man. Jason did that whole sign on him, the Indian thing. It sounded like a rock, man. I think that one was once sitting, and that was a lot, you know. Gangster.
Looking back now, I wish I would have just grabbed him. Get this shit out of here. We're leaving. And then call him later. Hey, Mark, when it doesn't hurt. Mark, I'm sorry.
You forget that it hurts.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's great about tattooing for me is that there comes a point where you have to be done. A person can only take so much in a day. Because if I'm drawing on paper, like, I'm never satisfied. That's the genius of tattooing.
I had this banana board, and it had Excalibur trucks with urethane wheels. I grew up in this upper middle class neighborhood, and it was all white boys, so I said, shit. So I got me a block, a 2x4 block, cut it so big so it fit perfect underneath the front trucks, and I was low riding. To carry a little black switchblade in my pocket. I'd be riding through just to fuck with the white boys and say, hey, check out my switchblade. But they were more interested in my skateboard, man. I said, what the fuck is this, man? This is my lowrider, man. Be wearing khakis and my Imperials and I used to skateboard a little bit. I used to go visit Fat George up in La Puente. I was on about 12, 13 years old. I used to take my homies up there. I said, hey George, check this tattoo I did. Man, it was like, shit, man. What the fuck are you doing? I mean, I thought it was good, but, you know. Just kids tattooing kids. We didn't know what was up. I was just poking my friends. I was getting the feel for it. One day George finally gave me a job, a helper's job. I did that for about 3 months. I was slinging ink, man, a youngster in this tattoo shop. I got streetwise in 2 weeks with him, you know. It was cool. I had a blast. I didn't skateboard much after that, you know. But I started tattooing some skateboarders, you know. After a couple of years went by, I started meeting people, started figuring out the different social groups, all walks of life. And I could honestly say the first skateboarder that I ever knew was Jason Jesse, when Mark Mahoney tattooed him. I think Mark did some sun or something on his arm. Jason didn't have all the dough, and Mark got pissed off or something like that. I did a few pieces on Jason Jesse myself. Air dressing. I grew up in a real religious family. We always had a lot of art, like the Bible with all the art pages and the brochures. And I was always inspired by that, and the statues and the beauty and the realism. And I used to say, man, you know, whoever created this drawing or this artwork got to have a passion for God, or you know, it's a true gift, I'd say, to have this ability to sling ink and do it like in a photographic style. You know? It also comes like a muscle. If you don't work at it every day, you're not gonna get there. You know, just like when Mahoney worked on me, I was like a 6-month course. You know, I mean, that's the ultimate way to learn how to tattoo, get tattooed. If that's your style, you try to acquire that style, the way you feel, the needle going in you, the way you shading. And then you give it your own 2 cents, man. You look at your own. It's like music, you know. Everything's been done, you just do it a little different. I gotta say, tattooing for me, it's opened a lot of doors, you know, in my life. I've done a lot of things, from film to music videos. And I always come back to tattooing. You're so excited because you're plugging this person's skin. The whole fact that it's gonna be on him forever, or her, and the fact that, you know, you're making a name for yourself and they're never gonna forget you. That's a big deal. That's a rush in itself. That rush never ends. It never stops. I can say just like skateboarding, once you get on that board, I don't care how old you are, you're still gonna feel great inside. You know, being back here with Mark after 20-something years, man, that's a rush. You know, I feel like a kid again. The smell's the same, the vibe's the same, and the influences are even stronger. But I'm older now, I'm a little wiser, so you know, I know where to step and where not to step. The hardest part is just getting home 3, 4 in the morning, you know.
Started skateboarding in the early 70s. My brother got me into it, you know, riding boards in the basement, riding boards in the street, and cruising around. That was like old roller derby boards with steel wheels and wooden decks. And then that moved on to Warp Tails and rode my first skate park in '77. And then got into riding Pulp and Stanton Dogtown decks, and of course Alpha decks. And then in the 80s, I was frequenting the skate parks all the time. In Detroit, Michigan, where I grew up, we had tons of skate parks. I got sponsored by Madrid in 1981, until I rode for Alva in the mid 80s. I have to say that was the best time I've had skateboarding to date, was the whole time I had with the Alva crew. After that, I went to go ride for BBC, and the fall of skateboarding came. Never quit, but kind of dropped out of sponsorship deals. Now I'm back in full force again. I ride for Skull Skates, and everything's cool again.
A lot of skaters had some pieces, but probably the heaviest tattooed skaters I saw during my time at first was the Godoys. You know, you even look at some shots of Dwayne, man. It wasn't until much later on that he got fully covered. The thing about the Godoys too is, you know, they had a bonus over everybody else, man. They were tattooing each other. Not all of us have a twin.
What got me into tattooing was punk rock. You know, the early 80s, it was like, we were all coming of age, man. As soon as I was able to get tattooed, I was in there and got it. And been hooked ever since.
I strictly pretty much collect skulls. I just think it ties back to punk rock. You know, punk rock and skateboarding went hand in hand, and skulls was kind of a universal symbol between both. And I just went off on skulls, and then my namesake, the American Nomad, I have plaster on my back like a license plate. The fact that for 6-7 years during the height of my whole skateboarding career, I didn't live anywhere, man. I just traveled from place to place, and I have no regrets on that, man. I loved it. I met so many people, so many friends, and got to travel. And along the way, collected a lot of ink. I've had a good majority of my back done by Ed Embley from Gulf Coast Tattoo in Mobile, Alabama. I had Guy Atchison do some work on me. I had Paul Stotler. A few other random guys throughout the Midwest who were just skaters. Jay Kelly did my new one. I've had Freddie do some work on me. And then just some other cool random people that I've run into. And it's always been fun to not just cruise into a shop and get a tattoo. It's cool to cruise in town and just hang out for a while, see how other people live, hang out in other shops. There's always skaters coming into shops, so if I was traveling around and I had a layover or no place to go, I'd just go hang out in some shops, and eventually a skater's going to come through, and I formed a lot of lasting friendships just by running into people in tattoo shops. It's the whole subculture is something really cool.
I started getting interested in tattoos as soon as I turned 18, but I didn't really get tattooed until I was about 23 because there was no one doing good tattoos where I lived. And that's sort of where I was like, I know I could do a better job than this. So I started leaning that direction. I was living up in Vermont and met up with some guy with a good friend of mine, this guy Joe Muma, who moved out from Ohio. I started hanging out in his shop and got in that way. Actually, Fred really was the first person I saw was heavily tattooed when I used to skate his park as a kid. And I remember he had this elbow piece done of Einstein, and Mahoney did it. It was sick. I'd never seen anything like that. Mostly you think of it was bikers and unicorns and wizards and stuff like that. And back then, seeing stuff like Don Ed Hardy and Eddie Deutsch and those guys were doing in the early 90s, and it was just like, wow, this is tattooing, this is cool. It's not the usual, not the norm, there's definitely some artwork in it, so. A tattoo's a tattoo. I'm down for doing anything, but I definitely want it to have it look good down the road. I don't want to see something a couple years from now and be like, I wish I didn't do that. If you come and say, well, I want this and this and this, I like your style of stuff, so let's do it that way, you're going to get a great tattoo because they're going to be into doing it. But if you're like, I want this, and it's got to be this way, well, that's not the style of stuff I do. Big and bold, something that's going to hold up, so. It sort of throws me into traditional American, traditional Japanese. As long as it's got room to spread and holds up, it works for me. Word of mouth is your best business you can ever get. So as long as you're doing good work, and so you don't even have to be a good tattoo artist. Just be a nice guy and just get along with the people you're tattooing. And these are guys I looked up to when I was a kid. When I used to skate Fred's park, even back then he was just the nicest guy you could ever meet. He had no attitude and he was just really laid back.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm as old school as it gets.
It just really stuck with me that he was really cool towards everybody.
I started getting tattoos at a young age, and
how'd that happen? Why?
I don't know. Just you want to be cool, whatever. And tattoos are cool. So, 15, we went into town. Boom, get an ID. Yep. All right, sit down. Boom. That was it. Right here. Too fast to live, too young to die. right after my dad passed away. That started me, and then once you got one, you're hooked.
How'd you get the nickname The Loud One?
It goes way back to high school. Now, I graduated in '82, so late '70s. Me and four of my boys, we just always hung out, and we just started drinking at an early age, and we'd start driving at an early age, and just mixing it, and show up at parties and just fucking destroy it, man. We lived out in the country, and we were like into punk rock. It was like fucking holy shit. Bust the place up, man. Get gnarly. Fucking cops, everything. I mean, it was fucking got heavy, And and then it would always be, we're having a party. Don't tell the loud ones. That's how it just came about, and then it just snowballed, and then I just used it on my board because we were always known as that. And then it just, that was it. It just happened kind of very odd, We were on a skate trip down to Cedar Crest. It's a wood ramp that was out in the middle of the woods. And this guy, Mike Mapp, we were staying at this apartment that he had moved out of. And it was a week left on the thing. Nothing in the house, no furniture, no nothing. And the big old pile of trash in the kitchen. So I freaking rigged up a jailhouse machine out of a fucking pile of junk. It was an answering machine, actually, bent the spoon, did the whole thing. Had a guitar string, sharpened the guitar string on skateboard grip tape. That's how hardcore that was. I'm only thinking about that. And he was sterile, boy. Oh yeah. And that was it, man. Just like did a couple little scratchy things like that, and I'm like, that's fucking killer. So then I got a junky machine off somebody and some junk equipment and started, and figured out this is it, man. That was 82 or so like 20 years. You get almost everything, you know what I mean? Every kind of person, freak to freaking normal as it comes. And from 18 to 81, there's no in between, really. There's no rhyme or reason. People just are into art, and they like it, and it's fun. Given the freedom, given the space, given a rough idea, and then, they pretty much run with it, you know what I mean? And make it look good, because they know if I'm going to do it, something I like and what I want to do, on their rough guideline, of course, is going to be just amazing, and that's pretty much how it works. 77 or something like that. We just got boards, little plastic ones from the department store, and then you get on it and you do what you can do on it, and then you put up a piece of wood. I mean, it's just the next step. Gotta keep going, go up, cut. Get better boards, and then you find a magazine and you're like, oh my God, Thrasher, look what these guys are doing, or whatever, and then it's a natural progression. You just want to keep going to the end. You know what I mean? I don't say I took it to the end, but I took a good ride on it.
Where'd you go?
Everywhere pretty much. There's too many stories, you know what I mean? But just in general, a good time. Zorlak I started with, and then I switched to Alva, and then that's pretty much it. Skated for Thunder, and Thunder. Thunder was good. Pretty much I just had the one Alva was just heavy, it's so heavy. We didn't need no more than that. It was as much as you could ask for. He did his part, we did ours. It worked.
And now?
No hard feelings. I got some Aaron Kane, Eddie Deutsch, Rom, did a lot of it, Hannon up Pumpkin Tattoo, like Tom Beasley, Dave Fox, Bob Roberts, got a little piece by him. I try and collect, you know what I mean? That's what it's about. It's about collecting, like, I got one from him. It's fun, a lot of fun.
We were the heaviest tattooed skateboarders around. At all that, we started off the whole thing. We're going to take credit for that because that's just the way it is. I mean, you can ask Jason Jesse, who Transworld mistakenly said that he was the one who started this whole thing, which was a load of shit. It was me and my brother. But we had a hard time with all our sponsors. People at that day and age, like, let's see, 85 till about 91, everything was so gay. It was day-glow clothes, so fashion, you part your hair and wear bangs and a baseball hat. That's not our deal. Never was our deal. So we're pretty much blackballed, I would say, because of our attitude. And now it's so accepted, I guess it's like we're ahead of our time. But we never really made much money at skateboarding. It was always fun, and whether we were sponsored or not, we could have gave a shit because we'd still skate to this day.
I'm Mark Godoy. I skate when I'm not surfing.
I'm Steve Godoy, and I surf when I'm not skating. When the Cockney Rejects album came out called The Power and the Glory, and all those guys had tattoos. We were already into punk rock since we were kids. So it was natural that when we saw that, we wanted to be like the people that we listened to, you know. That's pretty much what inspired us to start tattooing. Right before we got out of high school in '84, we were doing homemade jobs on ourselves, and we weren't really going to get into tattooing for a job. That was just like accidental because our dad spent our college fund. We wanted to go be pastry chefs. As weird as that may sound, we wanted to go learn how to cook and do that kind of shit, but it didn't work out like that.
I think it's great how it evolved, how it happened, because in the beginning when we first started, we decided we had to graduate from homemade pokes with safety pins and X-Acto blades to using real machines and learning how to do it the right way.
Which was a bitch back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy like now. We're all self-taught.
Yeah, a lot of the artists that lived in the town when we started tattooing, we lived in Dallas, Texas, and nobody wanted to teach us anything.
But before that, when we lived back east, it was even harder because it was biker owned and operated, and there's no way you're getting in there.
Yeah.
1977, because that's when we got into skateboarding and punk rock, hence the safety pin there. All the little lines like these, the lettering, you can tell it's still homemade pokes, but everything else I had to reline because it was starting to fade out. That was first that Art did with a safety pin and black ink. First tattoo that Art ever did with a machine. When we graduated from safety pins and black ink to tattoo machines with real needles, and the very first stuff that we did was homemade. That was mainly on our left arms because we were right-handed, we poked ourselves, but we've recently since cleaned it up.
And all this is cover up. So this was like years of experimenting, getting better, and then finally getting good enough to get rid of the old junk.
We told each other that when we got better, we'd fix it. And so we fixed it. Our right arms were collector's arms. Those were the arms that we collected from other artists, and our left arms were pretty much our own. We could practice on ourselves.
Managing a skateboarding career and working full-time in a shop, apprenticing, couldn't do it. So we'd take our shit on the road, and in hotel rooms we'd just practice on each other. Whenever we'd go to contests, we would take the money that we were given by the companies for food, per diem it was called, we'd spend it on tattoos, so most of the time at contests we'd be hungry.
Moved to Texas, where we met Jeff Phillips and Craig Johnson, all the Texas guys. That's where we first got sponsored. It was always been our dream to be pro skateboarders. They gave us a big push, Jeff Newton from Zorlak, and we wanted to turn pro, so we turned pro in '85 in Virginia Beach. We were bums, we lived outside. Just drove our big car the whole way from Pennsylvania up to skate with Fred Smith and those guys up in Boston, drove all the way down to Texas, lived there, lived outside, out on the street, moved to California. We were pro by then. We got in Rolling Stone, this was 1987. We're at the bottom, we're still more tattooed than everyone else. Scroungy, we couldn't even afford to buy razors. Fucking scumbags. Got kicked off of a couple of companies, quit a couple of companies, made enemies and friends along the way, by around 88, 89, we had our own company, Iron Cross Skateboards, which was backed by H Street. Shit went sour. We quit that whole deal. And skateboarding was changing anyway. Little wheels, little boards, we just couldn't adapt. We weren't in the street, all the parks were closing, so we still skate. We tried to do the best we could to get equipment, and here we are still to this day skating. For just about every company we rode for, we drew our graphics. Whenever we had our own pro models. So, and for other people too.
We also used to do a lot of t-shirt art for like O'Neill. We've done some shit for Quicksilver, Pirate Surf when they were around. A lot of people. They were always straight when they did drugs and drink.
It's funny getting stereotyped. People think that you have done it when you haven't done it, just because of how we look. It's great. We could always build and tune machines, but we didn't really put any effort into manufacturing until, I would say, like 98. Right before my brother moved, we started making molds for stuff, and we were doing our own coils. And we have 2 things that are patented right now, and yeah, that's our side thing. We just did everything along the way together, so yeah, that's each other was our inspiration.
Come on!
started tattooing in '85. For us, it's not a fad. We never decided to jump on some tattoo bandwagon because somebody else did. We never really made money in skateboarding, so for us, tattooing was really the only option in order to make ends meet and supplement our income. I mean, when we're getting a $4 check for royalties from a company that we're not going to mention, you know, and how are you supposed to live? So anyway, that's our angle. It's our life. We tattoo, skate, punk rock. Anything else? That's it.
Oh man, we ain't done yet, you know, that's the thing, you know, tattooers don't get to retire, there ain't that kind of money in it, so the idea is to have as good a time as you can and, do as good a tattoos as you can. And
Fuck, are you serious right now? Final thoughts?
Yeah.
I wrote them down
Okay.
in the form of about 14 suicide notes. Has anyone done that to get them removed to get more?
I see some of these kids who are real young getting tats all over the place, and sometimes I think, you know, if you don't wait until you get in your 20s, you may be making a mistake by just jumping into something you think is cool now, but when you're in your 30s or 40s, it may not be cool. So you better think about what you're going to do for a long time. Don't just get something because you see it or you saw something similar that you think it's badass. You better make sure that tat means something to you for the rest of your life.
A lot of the youth that tattoo today, they're not influenced by any of the old, the old biker mentality, the old outlaw mentality. A lot of them are into it because of their lifestyle and the artwork that goes along with their lifestyle, whether it's skateboarding or snowboarding or surfing.
Well, the logical evolution of skateboarding would not have had tattooing involved in it at all.
It wouldn't have.
Not at all. We brought that into the whole thing.
Yeah, so I just get tattoos.
You want to see the notorious penis that he threw in there without me knowing it? Oh! I saw that like the next week. I'm like, hey Fred, I got a dick, and he goes, "What, did you find the pussy?" Right there. Show me ball bags. Ball bags on him, dude. Check out those ball bags. Freddie's the king of fucking sneaking shit in there. Cover up. I did all this shit drunk for myself. Covered up ball bags. A bunch of ball bags. Fucking bastard.
This goes out to my buddy Jason Jesse. Props. Thanks for the goods, bro. When you ain't in it, somebody's got your back. Thanks, man.
Okay, final thought. There's no selling out ever. It's just getting your fucking message to the marketplace for future generations to see. That's all. Fuck it. Die when you die. Job well done. Sure Grip. Best skateboard company. Fuck.
Down here. You might be looking at 150, 160, 50 altogether. Yeah. There you go back. It's good. I mean, it lasts longer than any car, Yeah. So fuck, it's a great price. Hello, Funhouse.
This is the tattoo area. There's a station here.
I'm gonna leave it to your artistic impression art.
All right.
What do they charge you for up to?
We got half price things right now because we went up on a day with no visibility.
Oh, so you got like a rain check kind of thing?
Yeah, they're like 50%. The great thing too is about all this shit is you can continue, the background around the shoulder, you can do whatever.
Yeah, no, that's not.
We grew up on the East Coast, near Philadelphia. We skated all the parks right around that area. There's parks all over the place, but they came and went. Actually, we got kicked out of school in '82, went to live with our dad in Mexico. They had a real thriving skate scene down there. Waldo Autry and Jay Adams and those guys went down to Mexico, we skated all those parks. We grew up pretty much down there skating with those guys. Like, half pipes were the big thing. We had to build one in our yard in order to keep our skateboarding alive. Back in the day, we were always stoked to session with Jason Jesse. Totally. Fred Smith and the guys from Boston were always great. Texas, by far. Those guys were the coolest. Craig, Jeff Phillips, John Gibson. Out here in California, we used to like Owen Nieder, John Schultes. That's about it, really, that I can think of. Everybody else seemed kind of soft.
Shit, man.
Okay, this little guy here, the little hot rodder, he's pissing on his skateboard. He's farting too. And then this one here was drawn by a old friend. He tattoos now in Philadelphia, but it was actually tattooed by a girl, Linda Tobin, that works here at Outer Limits where I work. We've always drawn since we were kids. Must have been, jeez man, since we were 2 or 3, just to kill time. Our mom got us into it. It was all scribble. We were just practicing on each other, just fucking ourselves up.
But most of the stuff really doesn't have a real theme. There's no real meaning. It was all designs that we kind of liked. But at the time, you know, when you got the tattoo, there was maybe something going on in that part of your life.
I would say I specialize in tattooing. There's nothing that I will segregate myself to saying, well, I just do this or I'm only into that, because I can do everything. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything that I can not do. I do it all. I love, though my favorite, I love to do single needle, small, fine detailed stuff. Realistic. There's my brother tattooing Julia. She's the most tattooed woman in the world. We did all her work. She's tattooed all the way down to her fingertips. There she is right there. So that's like our kind of, in a way, claim to fame. It's great. It's pretty funny. And there's Jason Jesse. We did some stuff on him in the early days when we were still practicing.
We've tattooed people like Danny Way, the Pappas brothers. Who else from Skate? Markovich got his first tattoo from us.
Yeah, Chet Thomas.
Chet Thomas was one. Some guys from XYZ.
Darren Navarrete, that guy.
Darren Jenkins.
He's fucking great, that guy.
Yeah. Didn't you tattoo Allison Hannigan?
Yeah, I tattooed her.
She was not a skateboarder or anything like that. She was a girl in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I tattooed her before she was the band camp. Before she was on what's that show, the movie American Pie.
What was that guy's name? Rocco?
Who? Which guy?
Can't remember. Some skinhead guy that was telling us about building homemade machines. And he says you got to get the rotary motor out of a Walkman.
What it was Rocco? And put a
guitar string
attached to
through a spoon. No, with a spoon holding the
motor
ballpoint pen barrel.
Yeah.
It was a funny.
And that was pretty fun making homemade machines. That was pretty fun. Remember our tattoo kit? Who's got the tattoo kit?
I don't know. Brian Ridgway found it. Remember how the metal can?
Metal can. We had toilet paper.
Toilet paper to wipe the blood.
Exacto blades and little cups and black ink.
You never stopped to think how unhealthy it was living outside doing homemade tattoos in the car.
We didn't even really figure that we make up our own stuff, and even when we did decide to make up our own stuff, it was simple punk rock stuff, like a cross with some writing in it, or
maybe some skulls and some fire.
Banners with dates, punk rock dates.
Because a lot of the youth that tattoo today, they're not influenced by any of the old, the old biker mentality, the old outlaw mentality. A lot of them are into it because of their lifestyle and the artwork that goes along with their lifestyle, whether it's skateboarding or snowboarding or surfing.
Well, the logical evolution of skateboarding would not have had tattooing involved in it at all.
It would not.
Not at all. We brought that into the whole thing.
But we used to collect too. We used to get tattooed by other artists. That's why our last name was done by Robert Hackney. We had some stuff done in Arizona. From then on, we got kind of pushed into the mainstream really fast down there. Because we speak Spanish, we were born down there. And we don't look Mexican. We're not, we're just by birth, but we, we speak Spanish. We have ever since we were kids. Anyway, we can communicate with them, and they take us more seriously than they do their own people sometimes. Anyway,
because they look up to America and American tattooing
to lead, and Canada. So
we're helping steer tattooing in Mexico and Spanish-speaking countries in the right direction.
With the articles in the magazines and doing seminars, we do seminars every year. But it spreads. See, it'll spread from Mexico all the way down. Last convention, there was people from Brazil, people from Venezuela, Argentina. Wasn't there someone from Colombia down there last time?
Yeah, Colombia, Costa Rica.
But nobody thinks much about those countries, but really, they got a lot of good tattooers down there. A lot of skateboarders too, especially Brazil. Those guys go crazy.
See how much influence we've had on the whole skateboarding world? As far as people getting tattooed? Look at even Dwayne Peters. When we met that guy, he had no tattoos, just one little dumb tattoo on his arm, and that guy's totally covered. If it wasn't for us, that guy wouldn't have any fucking tattoos.
He's got stuff all over his face. So tattooing is pretty much, now it's accessible to everybody.
I told you about that girl that she pissed and shit and puked.
Yeah.
All in 10 minutes. She pissed herself, she shit right in her fucking, like her pants, and she threw up all over her chest. And before I could throw up or piss or shit myself, I went outside and had someone else clean it up.
You tattooed some guy's dick down there recently?
I tattooed this guy's dick. He goes, I want my girlfriend's initial with a rose going through a heart on the helmet. I said, alright. So he pulls his dick out, and he's got this barbell thing going through his dick with these two big balls on either side, almost as big as a dime on each side. Not as big balls, but the balls on either side of his fucking jewelry. And he's like halfway through it, like he didn't say nothing the whole time. And then when I'm tattooing him, he says to me, Steve, you know what? I'm not a faggot or anything. He goes, I'm not a faggot or anything, but God, you got beautiful eyes. And is that your natural color? Is that your natural color hair? And I was so shocked. I couldn't believe he's fucking talking shit to me while I'm holding onto his dick. And then this guy that sits behind me tells the guy, you better shut up while you're ahead. And he did. He's like, I'm not gay or anything.
My boyfriend is.
We tattooed a lot of hookers and pimps when we worked in Hollywood at Purple Panther. And in Venice, there was a lot of freaks there. There was shootings every weekend down at Muscle Beach.
It used to be Sundays when the shootings would happen.
Every Sunday. He didn't show up to his appointment that one morning because he was dead on the beach. And I was sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and he never showed up. I was like,
Knox found him. I mean, Knox saw him down there.
where the fuck's Chris? And Knox goes, I think your appointment's down there on the beach, just laying down. I'm like, man. And then this guy, Danny, comes down and says, no, Chris isn't showing up today. He's dead on the beach. So we went down and looked at him.
A lot of shit down there is mostly drugs, like a lot of people. Not a lot of people, but...
Well, it just depends where.
Most of the freaks. I remember all the freaks we were tattooing in San Diego, they were all on crystal. And almost everybody that we've ever had in our bands were all drug addicts. And we weren't. We were always straight. We never did drugs or drink. Well, our band was called the Exploding Fuck Dolls. The Exploding Fuck Dolls went on from about 1991 to about 1998. In the beginning of the Exploding Fuck Dolls was me and Steve, a guy named Kevin, who died, and a guy named Devin Gilmore. And we played a lot, man. We played just in... How many shows would you say we played? Just like 8 months that lineup was around.
I don't know.
Lots. I can't even count. But anyway, after that, after Kevin died, we got Dwayne Peters singing for the band. That's when the band was the biggest. We would pack places. We get like 500-600 people per show. And at the time, that was around the time when
Pennywise was starting to get big.
Pennywise was getting big, No Doubt opened for us. That was before they had Gwen singing. We had Sublime was like, they were nobody. They just opened this little show, like, it was an outdoor festival in Huntington Beach, and they opened the show. And we headlined, so when they were playing, there was only like 10 people looking at them. Now, everybody buys their records, and we don't have shit. What we're doing currently is we're working with Dennis Tech. He's used to be a guitar player and founder of a band called Radio Birdman. Anybody who's into punk or the Australian music scene during the punk days would know who he is. We just released a record with him called Dennis Tech and the Golden Breed. That's it's a project that's taken 2 years to do, but it's just because everybody's busy because he's a doctor now. So that's out there. We've got tours set up coming up pretty soon in the summer and stuff possibly in next year, next January. Oh yeah, Knox drew this. So
Why can't he on a skateboard? Is he on a skateboard?
He's on a skateboard with some fiery waves behind him. I just like to get covered. That's it.
You know, I was meeting new people, and you know, you go check people out and talk to a few people, and before you know it, man, you're getting cut up by somebody. It was cool. You travel around the road and you build up product. Eventually, you got to unload the groceries. So I love trading decks and clothes and wheels and whatnot for ink. You start collecting more pieces and you start putting them together. Getting a tattoo, you know, it's an individual choice. But if I were you, I'd make the right choice and get several. I get a lot when people, besides just seeing, you know, my arms, my back and stuff done, when they really look at them and see that they're all skulls, they think it's some devil worship deal, or, you know, so I'm just into black and gray work, so, you know, a lot of people think they're jailhouse tattoos or whatnot, you know, before they even look at it, because it's not all colored. You know, I think people that have reactions to my ink are just, you know, people I'd probably not want to talk to in the first place. It's like, you know, people give me shitty service at a restaurant or whatnot. Narrow minds are no good. Not having a place to live, man, just causes me to have to move even more. My first good board was a band of Chicago trucks and Chicago wheels. That was probably 75, 76. Good.
Eric turns into such a ham in front of the camera, huh?
Make love to the camera.
Fucking for $400. So all the tattoo artists said they give me $100. They said,
Here's some flying.
I like those ones. I actually wanted to know. Friday we're talking about doing it.
Free. Still brings it up. He's like, oh, I never
All the way up. All the way up.
Well, that one's gnarly.
This guy is gnarly.
I already have one.
Let's get in there. Call out. Wait, yep, go. In now.
Come on, get a real one.
Twisted East Coast fucker.
The medium guy's the best. I think it's a woman.
See, people like Scarlet and they ain't scared.
He already has blood in his own. Fuck, get it off, get it off. You got a complicated voice there. Evil motherfucker, this guy. Alright, you ready? Ready? Swan dive. Alright, Bart. See this right here? Hey, who the fuck?
That's a real gangster.
I'm a white shirt. I got an alibi. Oh, check it out now.
Little bit. Little love taps.
This This is before we met, Fred. This is after. He's filming that fucking thing. That's what happens when you hang out with Fred Smith for fucking too long. You turn into a fucking freak. But you want to see the notorious penis that he threw in there without me knowing it? Oh! I saw that like the next week. I'm like, hey Fred, you know I got a dick, and he goes, "What? Did you find the pussy?" Right there. Show me your ball bags. Ball bags on him, dude. Check out those ball bags. Freddie's the king of fucking sneaking shit in there. Cover up. I did all this shit drunk for myself. Covered in ball bags. A bunch of ball bags. Fucking bastard.
It all revolves around tattoos and Mark Mahoney and the good boys. Everything, right? It's all mathematics, art, for art's sake. Seriously. Antisocial fucking nightmare. That was the turning point for fuck. I'm an idiot. That guy was a king. You know, just wanting to be just a attention faggot. Like I want everyone to not talk to me, but I want to have tattoos. Like that whole thing. Like just yeah, you see this shit. You don't have that crazy, but he's just a sweetheart. We got pulled over. Pigs aren't digging this. This is cool. This is it. I don't even think they are cool now, you know. But they're way more accepted. But whatever. We saw live flesh. Remember on the walls, that was insane. When you're then
panicking.
Oh yeah, like okay, yeah, I want it right here, and then yeah, he sees the other tattoo, like, and then you know you go through some years of life and realize, poor fucking kid, just retard. Like Mark just going, yeah, cool. Poor asshole. They should make tattoos illegal. My God. I remember going to Tattoo Land, and before Tap Boy Club, there's a Dead Boys poster on the wall, Young, Loud, and Snotty. Just, I'm not even into them yet. And Mark just telling us stories about it. Now I just started tattooing, and I just talk about like rancid shit to kids. Basically, he punked me, you know? Like in front of my other homeboys, like Bart and Steve. I was really embarrassed. That's enough. It was cool though, whatever. He rules. You guys are dicks. You guys gotta go.
Fucking a complete individual, and if I fall, if I do something cool, it's all me. Not like, oh, fucking Jimbo Jackoff fucking made the touchdown and I fucking blocked him for it, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck it, I don't even care about that shit. I was thinking, get tattooed, and I want to skateboard, and I want to do it because of me, you know what I mean? And if someone goes like, oh, there's fucking Kyle, that tattooed fucking skating retard, then it'd be like, oh well, there he went, you know what I mean? That's fucking the choice he fucking chose, so be it, you know? And that's what it is. Like, that guy's like, doesn't care about fucking anything or what anybody thinks about him. He was just like, hey, this is me, I'm gonna fucking jump on you. If you move, that's fine, because I'm fucking tough and I'll bounce back up. I was thinking, like, I want to fucking have Clay Decker's fucking skin, like, I'm gonna be tattooed, bottom line.
Oh man, we ain't done yet, you know, that's the thing, you know, tattooers don't get to retire, there ain't that kind of money in it, so the idea is to have as good a time as you can and, you know, do as good a tattoos as you can, and I think that's the thing I'm most proud of, probably, just being in it for a long time, you know what I mean, and that's about that. I'm a filthy whore and I will do anything for money, color, oriental, whatever you want, except for maybe the 666. I don't know, man. Fucking Hall of Shame for, you know, not being smart enough to save my money. I could be retired, but, you know, like I say, I like what I do, so it's okay. I mean, I remember the first tattoo I ever saw as a kid at Revere Beach with my dad. and he introduced me to some probably like Irish gangster guy that he knew from back in the day, and he had a big pinup girl right here, and the guy's name was Sharky or Silky or something like that. I didn't get my first one until I was 16, you know, the guy wouldn't do me until the next year. So, yeah, and even I couldn't even get into him then. I had to go to, you know, the B team or whatever. I had to go to Ruby's, and to get to her, you had to walk through Jean's Clam Bar. She had a little tattoo shop set up in the back, and she was a school teacher whose merchant marine old man who was a tattooer never came back from sea one time, or you know, run off with somebody else, so she was left with his tattoo equipment in this little shop, so she just decided to do it herself, you know?
Back then I was in like Cholito, I was a homeboy, I was in a skateboarder, but I wanted to ride a damn skateboard, man. I got 4 brothers that we had a shop together at one time. They seen what I was doing. I mean, they were toddlers when I started tattooing. So they would always dabble in what I was doing and wanted to know, you know, what I was doing. They always wanted to be around. At first, I didn't want them to have any part of it, you know, because my first experience in a tattoo shop was, it was cool, man, but the influences out there were just, it was crazy. I don't even need to say what, it was everything. But I passed through all that. I didn't want them to go through that. Not that they were, but the influences are so strong out there. I mean, you're gonna get sucked in doing something. But I tattooed them when I already had like 15 years under my belt, so they got some good shit on. For them, that was sticking a needle in somebody and leaving your mark, and they'll remember you for the rest of their life. You know, somebody could watch a film that you were in and forget about it. But once you mark somebody's body, you know, you're with them forever.
Oh man, we ain't done yet, you know, that's the thing, you know, tattooers don't get to retire, there ain't that kind of money in it, so the idea is to have as good a time as you can and, you know, do as good a tattoos as you can. And
Fuck, are you serious right now? Final thoughts?
Yeah.
I wrote them down
Okay.
in the form of about 14 suicide notes. Has anyone done that to get them removed to get more?
I see some of these kids who are real young getting tats all over the place, and sometimes I think, you know, if you don't wait until you get in your 20s, you may be making a mistake by just jumping into something you think is cool now, but when you're in your 30s or 40s, it may not be cool. So you better think about what you're going to do for a long time. Don't just get something because you see it or you saw something similar that you think it's badass. You better make sure that tat means something to you for the rest of your life.
A lot of the youth that tattoo today, they're not influenced by any of the old, you know, the old biker mentality, the old outlaw mentality. A lot of them are into it because of their lifestyle and the artwork that goes along with their lifestyle, whether it's skateboarding or snowboarding or surfing.
Well, the logical evolution of skateboarding would not have had tattooing involved in it at all.
It wouldn't have.
Not at all. We brought that into the whole thing.
Yeah, so you know, I just get tattoos.
You want to see the notorious penis that he threw in there without me knowing it? Oh! I saw that like the next week. I'm like, hey Fred, you know, I got a dick. And he goes, well, did you find the pussy? Right there. Show him your ball bags. Ball bags on him, dude. Check out those ball bags. Freddie's the king of fucking sneaking shit in there. The cover up, I did all this shit drunk for myself. Covered in ball bags. A bunch of ball bags. Fucking bastard.
This goes out to my buddy Jason Jesse. Props. Thanks for the goods, bro. When you ain't in it, somebody's got your back. Thanks, man.
Okay, final thought. There's no selling out ever. It's just getting your fucking message to the marketplace for future generations to see. That's all. Fuck it. Die when you die. Job well done. Sure Grip. Best skateboard company. Fuck.
Hey, I'm Eric Justin, and my life revolves around skateboarding. Getting tattooed.
1, 2, 3. I'm gonna take, and I'll take charge. I'm gonna drive the fastest car. I'm gonna call that girl on the telephone. Pump it up, rev it up, drive it home. Right to the love inside. Right to the love inside. Right to the love inside. Right to the love inside.
Yeah, there's a pain factor involved sometimes. Fall down, go boom. Get scratched up for about 2 hours. A little bit of pain both.
Yeah, I got the independent symbol, which most everybody has. I got.
Can I zoom in on that real quick?
Yeah. That one's really old. I got this one. This one's my favorite one. 100% skater. That one was done by a skater. All of them were done by skaters. I feel that's just kind of right, you know?
You know, there's so many.
I
could
know.
write a book.
And
I
that's
could write a book on 1 year in a tattoo shop, you know what I mean? Endless amounts of people passing out, throwing up, hitting their heads on stuff. Most of the stories, the most extreme ones, I really probably couldn't even say on camera, you know? I could tell you a pretty cool story, actually, that happened to my friend. I mean, these two cholos came into a tattoo shop that my friend worked at, and they were arguing about a price. Kid wanted him to do it like $40, somehow, you know, his gang sign or something on the back of his arm, big letters. It's like $200 tattoo at least, you know, if he's being generous. Kid wanted to do it for like $40, you know. My friend was like, no, they ain't fucking doing it for $40. And they started to get a little mouthy and, you know, a little rude, started to get a little heated. And then this big dude in the back was making needles, and he just got out, done about like 8-10 years in the joint, you know. He comes down and he says, hey kid, how much you want to get that for? And he's like, oh, I want to get it for $40, you know, like being smart. He's like, all right, so I'll do it. He's like, yeah, you know, being smart. I said, that's the way you get things done around here. So he says, come on back. So he, you know, brings him back. He sets up everything, gets his razor out, you know, and he fucking sprays him down with alcohol. He shaves him down, sprays him down with alcohol, shaves him down. And then he starts spraying him down some more, spraying him and spraying him and spraying him and spraying him and spraying him. Puts a cigarette in his mouth, lights a cigarette, and then lights the kid on fire. The kid fucking freaks. His friend's trying to put him out. They both go running out the door, yelling and screaming. That was probably one of my most favorite stories that I've heard in the tattoo business. At least one that I could tell.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, you get what you pay for sure.
Hot. That's a good one. I like it.
Eric and I, we just got done skating. It was me, Eric, you, and fucking Mikio, huh? Mikio was there.
Regular Wednesdays.
Yeah, regular Wednesday skate night. And I got done skating, and I put on this leather jacket that this guy gave me that he worked at a tattoo shop I used to work at, you know. And he said one day, he's like, hey, you want this leather jacket, you know? I'm all, fuck yeah, it's a nice jacket, you know, because I ride motorcycles. So it's like, it's one of those old 40s, 50s cop jackets, you know, kidney belt straps, all that stuff. Is nice leather jacket. I'm like, yeah, you don't want it? He's like, well, since I've been in the joint, he went to prison for about 4 years for manufacturing speed. And he's all, don't fit me, you know? I'm like, oh, cool, you know, it fit me perfect. So we got done skating, I put on my leather jacket, and I've been wearing this thing around for like 3 fucking months. Like, avidly. This was my jacket, you know? And I was like, fuck, I wish there was a pocket for my cigarettes to fit in, you know? And I opened it up, I'm like, oh, fuck, I never knew. You know, I've been wearing it for 3 months, I didn't know there was a little pocket on the inside. So I go to stick my cigarettes in there, and they wouldn't go all the way down. I was like, fuck, there's something in there. So I pull out this little, like, wallet pouch. I'm all, what the fuck is this? Must be my homeboys, you know? Before he went in the joint. So I fucking unzip it, and there's a, like, 5-year-old fucking
Well, how big was that pack of speed? Like about
years worth.
like half the size of a yeah. There's a lot of speed in there. About 5 years old, sitting in my jacket. I've been running around for 3 fucking months with that huge bag of speed sitting in my jacket. I didn't even know it. So I just threw it in the bushes. And I was like, fuck this, I don't want any part of this, you know, I'm through with that shit. And Mikio went and he grabbed it, and he's all, what are you doing? There's some kid might pick it up, you know, he doesn't know what it is, OD or something. So he fucking grabs it, and the bag's falling apart from being in the bushes and shit, and he like walks into the skate park straight to the bathroom.